All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to I Didn't Read Your Book. I am Lutch, your host, and today we are again doing something a little bit different. As you know, we've got our episode of I Didn't Read Your Book, the podcast, coming out tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. But as I've been telling you, we are doing much more than that on this channel. And part of that includes talking about things that may not be the easiest thing to talk about. So just I don't want to I don't want to dive into the entire thing, because you guys actually missed a lot. If you're not subscribed, you're not ringing the bell, you're not checking the Lutch's other appearances playlist, you're missing out. So definitely check that stuff and make sure you're on top of everything. But long story short, this past Saturday, I was once again on the Filthy Casual podcast, that is a fight companion for UFC fights. It was myself, Dr. Evil Genius, and if you will remember from some of other an IDRYB episode, as well as some other live stuff, Anirudh Garg. So we were all talking, watching the fights, all that good stuff. And of course, knowing us, when we talk about stuff, it's not just, when we are watching the fights, we're not just going to be talking about the kicks and punches. Of course, we're going to be getting into more political and cultural issues, because that's just who we are. That's just what we do. And the conversation came up specifically about race. And so Dr. Evil Genius, as he goes by, is a black man who is successful in his own right. He's got a great channel. He's got the Talking Shit podcast, the Filthy Casual podcast, and the Black Magic Power Hour, all shows that he does. So definitely go check those out when we're done here. And he was talking about how the racism of this country is still so very prevalent and is a big factor in the everyday lives of people. And I was not in a position, and I'm very aware that I'm not in a position to say that's not the case. What I was suggesting was just that if things for Black people in America are not great, which I think we can all agree to some extent, being Black, it affects your experience. Whichever way you want to twist it, it's not the same. And so we were talking about how that can sometimes come, leave you with the short end of the stick, the odds stacked against you, and all that stuff. But my question to specifically Dr. Evil Genius, a black man, and Anirudh, I don't want to mischaracterize him, but a left-wing younger guy who is more in line with the narrative of what critical race theory praxis seems to want to teach young kids. I understand that critical race theory is not being taught in schools. I understand that. I understand that critical race theory is a high level, legal philosophy, all of that kind of stuff. Never did I suggest that they are reading Ibram X. Kendi or Kimberly Crenshaw in middle school or in elementary school. The issue was that instead of having, a simple example would be, instead of having a math question, in the old days, was, okay, you have a train coming from the west going 75 miles an hour and a train coming from the east at 50 miles an hour at 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock. What time are they going to meet? Things like that. And you started to see a change in the nature of the content of these same types of questions. And it went from that to, okay, if Raekwon gets stopped by the police 50 times in a year and Kyle only gets stopped 5 times, then who's more oppressed, or something like that. And I'm that's not exactly it. That's, for all intents and purposes, that's hyperbolic, but that is not the type of messaging that I personally would want my kids to be getting, whether they were white or black or anything in between. I am a proponent of, the messages of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., that we should be judged by the content of our character and not the color of our skin. Now, again, that in no way says that there are no obstacles facing Black people. That is not my position. That has never been my position. If you think that's my position, you've messed up somewhere. Rewind and figure out where you're messed up. Because if that's what you're thinking, I don't really know how to change your mind about that. You might think I'm just some racist guy who thinks whatever. I don't know. That's not what it is. So we were having this conversation, and both Anna Rude and Dr. Evil Genius kind of were taking my questions and spinning them into this like, how could you dare even ask that? And it's offensive that you would even think that way. And with understanding that I was coming in good faith, and a part of that was that Dr. Evil Genius actually got emotional at the fact that we were talking about Black sounding names on job applications. And nobody can deny that if your name is Raekwon versus your name is Kyle, that applying to jobs is going to be different. I'm not here to debate or dispute that. What the point that I was bringing up, that unlike in 1960 or whatever, that we are now in a position where even though people who are racist might exist and might see those names and might specifically choose Kyle because they don't want a Raekwon, or even somebody not realizing that they're picking Kyle over Raekwon with an unconscious bias. I admit all of those things exist. But for this Raekwon person who has been turned away from this job, the question was, okay, it's not okay, but what do you do? And it devolved into this conversation where I didn't want it to be, where that Black people are just doomed. Black people can't achieve things in America and things like that. Again, I am paraphrasing, so please go check out the whole stream if you want to get a fully accurate picture of what these guys were saying. I can only paraphrase it so well, and that's not actually what we're going to be going over. What we're going to be going over today is a conversation that happened after that. So you may also remember Darshaun McAway. He was the most recent guest on IDRYB with his Anaya's Adventures children's book series, and he also had an earlier episode with his girlfriend versus wife duties. And he was watching the stream on that day, and we were talking that Dr. Genius, Dr. Evil Genius, Anna Rude, and I were talking about. And he was, talking in the chat, and it kind of seemed like he was taking their side, for lack of a better term. And which, fair enough. I was like, okay, maybe I didn't know as much about the Black experience as I thought. And then Darshaun and I started to talk a little bit deeper, and part of it was brought about by my dad, who is a big fan of Darshaun, who was disappointed that Darshaun would, I think how he would put it, fall into this narrative of Black people being oppressed and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I don't really think that it's that simple. I don't think Darshaun really thinks of the world like that. He's very successful, and if you've seen his episodes, he is extremely successful and extremely driven. And not for a Black person. He's just an extremely driven person. And so it kind of, I was like, oh, okay, even somebody who has paved their own way, and you would think, or I would think, that they would have a little bit more to say about personal accountability, and anybody could do this. And yes, you might meet these obstacles, but that's life, and you just got to get over it. And, you know, I didn't get so much of that from him in the chat from the video on the panel. And then we were talking in DMs, and you know, especially a race conversation. That's DMs is not the place to have that conversation. So he was like, let's go live on Instagram and talk about this. So I want to share that video. I want to go through that video. I want to give a little bit more context to what exactly it was that was going on in my mind. And you know, I don't feel like I need to prove to anybody that I'm not a racist or that I'm not this or I'm not that. I have my ideas, and if you think that they're malicious, then you just don't know them well enough. But that being said, I still don't want to give the wrong impression. So let's dive into this video and see where, we'll just start it off and see where we go. So without further ado, let's get him go. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. We're struggle streaming. I'm not getting any sound here. All right, let's try this one more time. All right, share with sound. Share system audio. There we go. Okay. Oh. Boom. No? Come on, don't do this to me. Oh, this is such a bummer. This is a fucking bummer. Why is this not working? Unmute. Play. No, it's not even playing. Come on, man. I had this whole thing ready to go. Let's try this. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. We ain't done yet. We don't figure this out. Let's see if I can pull this here. Struggle streaming. So, I mean, you know, the first thing is just about like where you stand on this to begin with. Do you think that, you know, Black people have it inherently worse in this country? To what extent? Do you think that, you know, it's something that people can't overcome? What's the situation there? What do you think about that? I don't know why this isn't fucking working. I'm so fucking bummed right now. This is such a bummer. Let's see if I can. Nope. Well, that really puts a fucking stick up my ass. I don't really know what to do now. Hold on. Don't leave me yet. Don't leave me yet. I got this. We all figure this out. Let's try this. Oh my Jesus. All right. Well, in the worst case scenario, unless you guys can you guys hear it and I just can't hear it? All right. I'm going to assume you can't hear it. So I'm just going to talk. Basically, what had happened was the idea of critical race theory and critical race praxis, as I was explaining it before, really just brings the every issue that we have in society and brings race to the forefront. It it establishes that we as people in this nation are victims of the past, which cause and effect is a thing, but being a victim of the past is something different. And so what I mean by that is, if you were a slave, and then there's going to be ripple effects that affect your family going through that. That's not the same thing as you being a slave. And the in the converse, if you are if your great great grandfather was a slave owner, there's no reason for you to feel guilty and need to make up anything to anybody, because you didn't do anything wrong. They were living in a time when things were different, and it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it okay, and bring it all the way to Jim Crow and all those things. But it seems like there is this mentality where it's just about throwing your hands up and saying, well, the white man wants to keep us down, so that's it. And as much as I can, I can't empathize because I've never been there, but as much as I can sympathize with the notion that being Black presents certain obstacles that other people can't understand. I am a non-white person of color. That comes with its own things. I'm a short guy. That comes with its own things. And I'm not out here, pushing for society to change to accommodate short people. I'm not out here trying to change society. That would be nice, but that doesn't seem like a good use of my time. And that doesn't mean that I shouldn't be treated the same, even though I'm shorter. But the fact is, I'm going to be treated differently. And so what do I do about that? What I do about that is in my control. And the point I was trying to make to Dr. Evil Genius and Anirudh is that is empowering. And what they were saying was that, because of the past, Black people are now in a position where they're just stuck and they can't do any better. And then I would bring up examples like Darshaun and Dr. Evil Genius himself. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, we made it out, but it's not that easy. As if to say, well, most Black people suck, but we're better than all those Black people. And so I was like, whoa, what is going on here? This is not even what I thought the average Black person thinks. But again, I'm not in that position to make that to make that judgment. So as I was bringing all this to Darshaun, we sat down, and the conversation that I was just trying to bring up, that I don't know why it won't play, and if there's somebody in the comments who could let me know if that you could hear it, then I could definitely figure out how to work it. I'll have to make something else with it. But the long and short of it was, hey man, you have the night you had your daughter, you had this idea of a goal that you wanted to put out into the world. You worked towards that goal, and you have been successful, and you're continuing to word up. All right, so we've got Darshaun here. Let's see if I'm going to try this one more time. Let's see if the audio is going to work. And I mean, if you've got the time, Darshaun, and you would like to come up, that would really make things better. So we let me all right, so are you hearing sound? I mean, it was a great conversation, and it's just a bummer right now that it's not playing. But the long and short of it was basically that I was right all along. Now, no sound. Yeah, figured. Whatever. So so when Darshaun and I were DMing, again, that didn't seem like the best place to get that kind of conversation out. It's a sensitive conversation. Words matter. Tone matters. Awesome. Thank you guys for staying. I don't know what the hell just happened. I have no idea what just happened, but we are back. And there's 2 of you here, and there's 2 when I left. Awesome. So, anyway, conversation, DMs, not going well. Let's hop on. Me and Darshaun start talking. And so he starts his own live talking about being a Black businessman, and that he wanted to clear up, as far as I understand, that yes, absolutely, being a Black person and moving in the world, whether it's business, whether it's the country, whatever it is, that affects a lot. Even in the conversation that he and I were having, apparently he was saying things specifically. He has his Anaya's Adventures book series in Walmart. And I was focused on that as just a human accomplishment, and just like, wow, that's really cool. What I didn't pick up that was that the way that he went about it, instead of having a brand deal, having a book deal, he went in and just went face to face with one of the execs and was like, hey, I've got this product, I think I could do this, that, and the other, and he did the damn thing. So to me, again, that sounds like just a good way to do business, and a good way to get yourself out there. What I didn't pick up about that was that he felt he had to go that route, because being a Black man and not having the connections and the say so from the suppliers and the companies and the stuff like that, that he felt like he had to go the other way. That's something I didn't pick up on. And when Dr. Evil Genius, the other Black individual, was mentioning this, because he had watched the episode, and he was saying that, by me not realizing that I was, I'm missing something, which I was, but he was saying that I was missing a lot more than I feel that I was. And so when Darshaun and I actually finally got a chance to sit down, I really had to ask him, like, one, do you buy into this CRT stuff? He told me he's not super political, but he is, he's got a daughter and who's of age, who's not of age, but of the age, who is would be learning this stuff. And so, I was just curious, where do you stand on this? You're a successful person. You're doing things that white, Black, purple, yellow, not a lot of people are doing. And I don't feel like there is, Morty, get your butt out of my face. I don't feel like there is any use in bringing race into it. And so part of that, again, is just that maybe I don't understand how big of an accomplishment that kind of stuff is. But I think we had a good conversation, and the long and short of it, I'm glad that I have Darshaun here. The long and short of it was really that, yes, being Black does matter. Being Black has its effects, but you are an individual. You can overcome anything. And there's people who have to overcome lots of things that have nothing to do with race, that may be more or less, or everybody has their own thing. And while being Black absolutely presents its own issues, there's nothing about being Black that prevents you from succeeding, prevents you from navigating away from the people who are going to use that against you. And that was the only point I was trying to make. And this made Dr. Evil so emotional, and I didn't understand it. And so because of that emotion, and because of the fact that he didn't think I was being, he didn't think I was like trying to be racist or malicious or anything like that, that notion, the fact that I was just genuinely putting it out there, seemed to be the most upsetting part, which I understand, because there are certain things that Anirudh has said to me, a young, well-read, but not super worldly individual, as many 21-year-olds are not. They were kind of painting me into this corner, and I really didn't know what to do with that. So I'm thankful to Darshaun for talking me through the ins and outs, and I just wanted to, if you I'm now that I can't pull that video up, I'm gonna I'll strip that and I'll post that, and it'll come through here, and but I just wanted to come out here and say that it's okay to have these kinds of conversations. It's okay to not be wrong one. It's okay to to feel like the position you have on any given thing, if it's not accurate, that you can ask questions of people who know better, and you don't have to feel guilty for not knowing everything. That's really the long and short. I really wish I had the video. If Darshaun will be able to pop up, well, we can kind of go over the ins and outs of it really quickly. But I just want to make sure that this remains a platform where we're open. We're open. We want to have these conversations. And if I say something that really, really upsets you, it's not because I'm trying to, it's because I don't know any better and I need you to help me learn. And I'm not going to be somebody who is going to say, who's going to get defensive. I might be very strong in my opinions, sure. But that's because I've thought about these things long and hard. I've thought about these things in every which way I could possibly think of. And I can't possibly think of them in every single way, which is why I get things wrong sometimes. But if you're wrong about something, just go be right. That's it. Go find a way to be right or be more right. And by talking to from the time before I talked to Anna Root and Dr. Evil Genius, and the time that I talked to Darshaun after that, and now at each one of those points and points within those conversations, I was learning more. I was understanding better where they were coming from. And even if I disagree with the things that they were saying, then I was able to, again, understand where they're coming from and not treat their opinions with disdain and not look down my nose at people who think differently than I do. It's not a good way. It's not a good look for you. Certainly people can see that you don't know everything. So if there's something else that somebody is not aware of, and you big up, that I don't know what the fuck, I'm talking, you know what I mean? But if you try to use that as a power trip and as a way to make it seem like you're better than them, that's shitty. That's shitty. Don't do that. That prevents people from having those conversations and from saying and from learning better not to say those things that got you upset in the first place. And the reason things like that are so upsetting is not because you're a little bitch and your words hurt, and it's not about that. I understand that. I understand that words have meaning and words carry and messages carry, and that if you're perpetuating a message, especially if you have a platform that's dangerous and harmful, then that can be a big deal. And as somebody who has a platform that is growing, I would like to not abuse the fact that I have that platform. So let's see if Darshaun is down to come up. If not, I'm just going to cut this short. I'll get that video, and I'll just post it on its own. But let's see if we can get the man himself. I don't know. I think it's difficult to navigate these things. It's like I said, people are sensitive, people are opinionated, and while that's a good thing, I think both things are a good thing. I think there needs to be balance, and I think that you need to be able to see that we have different ways of interacting. We have different ways of thinking, and Darshaun's going to come up in just a moment, so I'm just vamping here. But That's all of that is okay. Everybody is so quick to jump down the throats of those who say the wrong word, think the wrong thing. Like, it was never like that. Unless you were out here denying I don't even want to say it for YouTube, but it rhymes with Schmolocaust. If you were denying that, then okay, yes, we want to come up and say that that's not cool. But if you're legitimately trying to have a conversation, then what's the issue? All right, and the man is in the building.
Yo, what's going on?
How are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm struggle streaming, but I'm glad you are here. So unfortunately, yeah, the video is not playing for whatever reason. I don't know. It sounds all messed up. The main reason I wanted to do this video where I was playing our conversation, I was literally just going to go through it, let it play, and if there was anything, just kind of pause it and give my thoughts. So since I'm not able to do that right now, but I do have you. Is there anything in particular that you wish you had said while we had that conversation, or that as you were afterwards you were like, oh, okay, I'm kind of seeing that differently, or anything like that?
No, actually, when I got off the stream with you, I went to go take a ride to let it play back in the car, and there was nothing in there aside from me doing my own personal air check of maybe something I said incorrectly, like saying that or to instead of to, or that.
So
but
that's
other. Go
sorry
ahead.
to cut you off. That is a perfect example of the type of thing, because I watched it right back too. And that's a perfect example of the type of thing, like I was mentioning earlier, your method of approaching the Walmart executive. What's going on, Jimmy Dean? Jimmy Dean in the building. We are talking about some race issues. This is Darshaun McAway, a very successful man and podcast guest 2 times now. Most recent episode. Go check that out after this. Yeah, and that's not something that that was on my mind. What I was looking for was, okay, did I miss anything that Darshaun said? And so, can you speak to that maybe maybe it is ignorance, maybe there's a fairer word to me. I'm fine with the ignorance, but I was just looking to rehash the conversation and see what's what was up with it, so that I got all of it.
So, okay, so do you feel like you missed something, or do you feel like I should have, I hate to say feel, but it's appropriate for this one. Do you feel like there was more I could have had elaborated on, because it was an impromptu conversation?
I think because the conversation was geared specifically about the CRT stuff, I think I got my answer on that. But because I still don't, I still wouldn't claim to be like, oh yeah, now I get the Black experience. Thanks, Darshaun. That certainly is not the case. But I felt like, the way that you expressed yourself was very thorough, and answered all of the things that I had in my mind. And specifically, going back to the conversation with Dr. Evil Genius and Anirudh, a lot of it was about this concept of being oppressed, being doomed, and Black people have it different. And again, I was trying to find the words to parse out understanding the reality of that, and then taking the reality of that and doing something with it. And I don't know how much of that stream you saw. I know you were there for a good portion of it. I don't know how much of it you did see. But I don't know if you saw the part where he got very emotional. And that was really what hit me the most, because specifically because there was something in a different unrelated conversation that Anirudh had said to me that like really was like, whoa. And I had the same feeling. I was like, it's not even that bad that you said that. It's the bad thing is that you said it and you don't really see anything wrong with it. And so when that was pointed at me, I was like, okay, maybe I really do have some changing to do in my thinking.
So I do remember the part that you're talking about. Here's what I'll say. The reason why this is such a difficult conversation to have, especially towards a black man or a black woman, is because, to be sincerely honest with you, black people want to be left alone, and we don't want to be looked down upon. When it comes time for us to compete, it's like, let it be a fair line of competition, in the sense of, well, don't tell me that the start line is here for this person, but I have to start way back here. And that's what's happening between a lot of black men and women. We see that, okay, when I come up to the finish line, well, you're saying that my finish line is like 5 feet,
Mhm.
5 feet behind yours. And it's like, well, wait a minute. We're all in this race together. But the thing is, what happens in the world is people put their skin color over someone else. And it just so happened to fall upon black people that when you see a black person, it's considered that we're less than. And it's not true for anybody. No one's less than anybody. No one's really better. And the reason I say that is because we all typically get born the same way, and we're all going to have lights out, but we're just going to go out in a different way. Some are going to, fall asleep peacefully. Some are going to crash out in a car accident. But when you start thinking that you're better than me because, oh, your great 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 grandfather was a king and everything like that, I get it, the royalty, I understand that part. But when it comes to a black person and their experience, it's like, yo, you're no better than me. So that's where this whole thing is coming from. It's going to happen that you, first of all, let me be very clear. A black man and a black woman are going to get emotional about their opportunities in the world because they're trying to feed themselves. And that's what a lot of people are dropping the ball on. Yes, I'm going to get offended because all I'm trying to do is to do business. I'm trying to get my opportunity to prove not only to myself, but to the world that I'm not the person that you think that's less than, I'm ignorant about anything, or I'm dumbfounded. No, I'm really trying to make this thing happen.
Mhm.
But when you have all these scholars and everybody digging back in history saying, well, everybody's inherently like this and like that, it's like, okay, what's the excuse in today's time when everyone
Yes.
has a microphone, when everyone has a smartphone, laptop? What's the excuse of why people can't make it? Because I can tell you right now, this is a fact. No one knew what color I was when I sold my two condom companies. They didn't know if I was a black man.
Right.
The only way people knew about it was after
That
the
one might have
fact.
helped you though.
It
I
might
had to
have,
throw that one in there. Come on.
but at the same time, the people who I was selling it to, they didn't know, right? They just knew that the company was there, the numbers were there. So what's the excuse? Because in today's time, you can hide behind an avatar, and no one knows what you look like. So, to be honest with you, this conversation, again, like I said the last time, it's going to keep on going on. But at some point, what's the excuse? Because you could start an e-commerce business, and no one can never know how tall you are, short you are, what color you look like, male, female. People,
Mhm.
people make millions of dollars every day.
Mhm. Well, the way I see it is that the the occurrences of those people who feel like they are, the quintessential, you know, quote unquote white supremacist who legitimately thinks that because they have less melanin in their skin, they are better, a superior being. I think,
Mhm.
there's definitely people like that out there. I mean, what are you gonna do? There's crazy people everywhere.
Right.
But I think more commonly now, because of, and I would call it leftist politics. I think the message of, hey, you're beaten down. They are telling you directly, you as the black community. They're telling you, they're the ones telling you, and so it's ingrained in yourselves as black people. And
Hmm.
then the white liberals who have their white guilt now feel like, oh, we have to help these poor little black people. They can't do anything for themselves. We have to help them. And so that's where I see the racism coming from more so in this day and age. Not that like, oh, you're an N-word and you don't do that and that. I mean, yes, again, again, that still exists, and I acknowledge that. But I think far more common is, again, this concept of bigotry of low expectations, and people
Mm,
feeling like, oh well, I'm white, and my family's been here for 3 generations, and so I have to do what I can to help the black people because they don't have what I have. They're not as good as me. And that's what, even without, we talk about unconscious bias, that's what it comes down to. If you
mhm,
think that these people need help so much, then what is that really saying? And so there's a thin line between wanting to make that even playing field and make the starting lines the same, and then overcompensating. And I think people who are pointing out that, hey, maybe this might be overcompensating, are so quick to be called racist, white supremacist, this, that, and the other. And
yeah.
yeah, what do you think about that?
Well, again, I'm gonna go back to this in the conversation that we had the other day. When I took that conference, United to End Racism, the whole underlying basis was that people just need to mind their business when it comes to other people.
Like Kristen.
Um, I don't think. Well, I'll speak for myself. I'm not looking for a handout. I'm not looking for someone to feel sorry for me. What I am looking for is just a fair opportunity. I'm not looking for you to give me the opportunity or to say that you're just giving me this helping hand or this wonderful hand of assistance. But I do want to know that I'm at least doing, not trying, but doing the best that I can to provide in the world, not only for myself, but towards my family and towards other people. So, what I find with a lot of people, and when I say people, I'm talking about white people, indigenous people, people who don't look like me. I find that those people, when they talk to me and they look at me, one of the first things I hear them say, which is a smack in the face, let me tell you, oh, how articulate you are, right? It's offensive in a sense. So we get that a lot of people look at us as if we can't speak for ourselves. And I'm telling you now, and I'll say this, I'll speak on this for all black people. We want to be left alone in the sense of, hey, let me rock out, let me do my thing, and stop trying to parent me as I go through life,
Right.
especially as an adult.
And again, you're bringing up great examples here, because there, I remember, again, the whole thing, the whole conversation between you and I started with my staunch Republican father. He really, really liked the everything that you and I had done together, and then just this one little thing of uh, even identifying with the black experience. I think he, obviously he didn't see what we were saying. It was my relaying it, and I'm sure I am to blame by paraphrasing it. And he got, the even you called it out, and that's what happened with the conversation, is that we were texting. And
Yeah.
so again, I have to stress that my dad is coming from a good place, as am I. But at the same time, I remember specifically an example of a time we were out as a family, and there was like an event, a bunch of friends, a bunch of people around, and there was a white guy in the friend group
Mhm.
who thought my dad worked at the restaurant we were at.
Okay.
And he was very offended by that. And he was like, "Oh, because I'm dark skinned." And I was just like, "Dude, maybe he just fucking thought you work here." Like, and he was like, "No, no, no, I can tell." And I am not somebody who has not experienced, prejudice because of my skin tone. And
Mm.
when people tell me that I'm well spoken, they say the same thing to me. Why is it that why do you feel and again, speaking for all black people, why does that or let me ask, is it because you feel there is the expectation that you wouldn't be well spoken, and then the denoting that you are well spoken is commenting on that, oh
Mhm.
well, most black people aren't well spoken, so you're one of the good ones? Is
Mm.
it that?
It's kind of that. But it's also one of those things to where I can't imagine myself being in a conversation with a group of academia and intellect saying, "Hey guys, you guys are very articulate." It's like, well, what else would you expect? I mean, we're all speaking English, or I
Yeah,
don't.
but some people
It's
just aren't. Some people are just stupid, and it's hard to find articulate people.
well, I maybe it's one of those things where people should say, man, you really know how to get your point across. And I get it. I understand what articulate means, but at the same time, it's just something that I don't go around saying in conversation. If a person can
But
speak
that's
well
because
for
you are
themselves,
articulate. That's because you are articulate, right? That's
I,
not
I
something
I
that you would
suppose so.
when you meet somebody else who's on the same level of you. Like, here's a perfect example. I'm wearing my QSA shirt right now. It's for
Okay.
Q Dance States of America, a hard dance thing that is mainly in Europe, and this is the USA chapter. It has nothing to
Okay.
do with like QAnon or anything like that. So, um,
Okay.
nothing like that. It's all music, hard style, hard style.
Gotcha.
But I forgot. I don't even remember where I was going with this. The concept of being like, if I were to talk to somebody and they were to show me a good hardstyle song,
Hmm.
I might say, oh wow, you've got good taste, just because they've got good taste, and I have a very elitist ear in when it comes to music. Is it are you seeing that same elitism in just in general when it comes, because again, people have told me I'm articulate and I'm well spoken, and I've never taken it badly, and I think that there is, again, not necessarily the same, but a similar type of thing with any type of person of color. They're expecting me to sound like this, and I don't know. And then when I can speak like this, they're like, "Oh wow, like okay, I get that." Is that
Well, okay, I know what you're saying. What I will say is this: um, there's a code amongst black men and women that if someone says someone other than you, meaning like a white person, says that you're articulate, they're saying to you, "Oh, I thought you were dumb." You can ask any black person, "Hey, is it offensive if someone says that? Oh, you're very articulate." Nine times out of ten, they're going to tell you, "Yeah, that's offensive." It just to you, it doesn't come off offensive because, like, hey, man, you are well spoken and you can articulate, but it's just something that's acknowledged amongst black people that you don't say that to somebody else. Like black people don't go in a conversation with white people and go, you know what, man, you can really articulate. You're very articulate. It just comes off disrespectful. It's like just have the conversation, and again, keep your personal opinions about my education, and everything to yourself.
right?
Here's the biggest issue. All of us, and even including me because I'm having this conversation, we have so many different opinions about other people. I guarantee you, if everyone just minds their business and focus on what they're supposed to focus on for their own selves, a lot of the racism and bigotry and everything else will go out the window. If you can just keep your personal opinions about what I look like, what my education is, what I'm doing in my household, if you can just keep it to yourself, I guarantee you the world will become a better place. But you have people who wake up in the morning, who make it their duty that they have to tell somebody that they're doing it wrong. I sent a message to a guy. Um, I wish I could play it. I pitched an idea to him, and this was so funny because it's the same sort of pitch that I pitched to Walmart years ago. And the first thing that he told me was, "Let me tell you how you're doing it wrong." And then I emailed him back and I say, "Dude, clearly you don't know who I am. The same pitch I said to you was the same pitch that I gave to a white man that works at Walmart. So how am I doing it wrong?" I say, "You're so busy trying to tell people what they're doing it wrong. You never told me what I did right."
Mm.
So my point is, we're so busy, including myself at times, or even in the past, we're so busy trying to point it out that my opinion is right about you, my thought process is right about you, my perspective is right about you, my stereotype is right about you, that you need to mind your business. Keep your opinions and your differences to yourself. Because who's really asking for it? Am I going around saying, "Hey man, what's your opinion of me?" Oh, okay, you're wrong. "Hey, what's your stereotype of me?"
Right.
Oh, you almost got it. So we're so busy doing that, which is why the whole, what is it, the Billy Bobs and the Karens come out of place. It's because those people have a tendency to keep on telling someone, "Hey, you shouldn't be doing this." And it's like, okay, well, listen, Why don't you just call the police and let the police handle it? But you don't have to police me. And that's what's
Right.
happening with a lot of black men and women. We look at the world as if they're policing us, but for what reason?
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
So let me put this to you, because I am someone who I don't have a scientific reason. I
Hmm.
have my own personal reasons why I didn't want to get the jab, and
Okay.
a lot of people are not happy with that. And
Happy that you didn't get it.
right. And this is actually this ties into literally the I was talking about how Anirudh said something that was reminiscent of how Dr. Evil Genius felt about how I was saying about what he said. And Anirudh was like, honestly, I think you're a bioterrorist. I was like, what? You can't, like, you're on my platform, bro. What do you mean? You can't just say that
Right.
to me. And like, I understood, young kid, he's in his, in the books. I understood what he meant, that he thinks that, if you don't get the jab, that you're going to kill everybody. And that's the sentiment he's expressing. I understand that. And I'm not here to argue my personal medical decisions with anybody. I decided not to take SSRIs, and I've never taken a flu shot either. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But
Right.
the point being that, if people are more in line with the things that really matter than the things that they seem to be told matter, will matter less. And that's the crux of the thing, of the issue to me, because a lot of these things seem to be fed to people. It doesn't seem like that this is and it doesn't seem like it's an organic anger, or an organic problem. It seems like something that the news, or this guy on YouTube, or that guy on YouTube has said, these people are doing this to you, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that.
Hmm.
I rarely will meet a person of any race that will not ask me where I'm from. And I
Hmm.
always purposely say Jersey, because I know that's not what they mean.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I don't look like everybody else.
Yeah.
People are just curious.
Yeah.
And I used to get very offended by it. And I think the context of the fact that people are not trying to be offensive
Mm.
it matters to me.
Okay. Well, okay. So you said some key points in there. Everything that we're talking about is learned behavior. I
Mhm.
made it my personal mission that my child, I'm not going to teach her about the racism in the world to where if she goes to the playground and play with other children, that she's noticing that, oh, there's a white girl there or there's a white boy. It's like, no, just go play, introduce yourself, and just have fun. When you start telling kids, because everything starts in our, early adolescent years and teenage years, when you start telling children that, hey, we were once slaves and this and that, and all this stuff goes into play, well, they're going to start looking at the world differently, and it's going to become this learned behavior about, um, well, you're not good enough to play with because my dad said this, sort of thing. So, again, where are you from is a compliment. Again, if people, it's time for a reevaluation of people's views on other people, not just black people, but just people in general. And I promise you, man, my heart and my mind and my viewpoint changed when I went to go get that reevaluation, because I was so damaged when people would say things to me, and I was like, well, where is this coming from? Why am I being treated so secondhand? Thrift store, you know. That's why, again, I can't harp on it enough about minding your own business. Some of this stuff that's happening in the world, some of it, not all of it, but some of it is not your fight and it's not my fight.
Listen for a second.
Huh? You say you lost me? You're good?
Oh, there we are. Okay, we're good.
Oh, okay. I was coming off with the it's not my fight. Some of this
Mm.
stuff is not. some of this stuff is not your fight. It's not my fight. When things happen to certain people under a certain type of circumstance, it's like you don't want it to happen. You feel sad for it, but to feel guilty about, because guilty, that's to the extreme. Oh, you feel guilty that something happened to somebody else. Why are you feeling guilty? What did you do to feel guilt?
Right.
You
Right.
can feel hurt and sympathy, empathy, and sad, but to feel
Absolutely.
guilty, I thought about that earlier today. I was like, guilty. I was like, what? Why would I feel guilty? What is it that I did to feel guilty? And I don't want people to feel guilty about what's going on. I want people to focus on the present time and keep it pushing, keep it moving forward. What I will suggest is this: if you have children, why don't you teach your children the good parts of people? Because
Mhm.
again, we always tell people what they're doing wrong. Why don't you tell them how to do it right and leave out the wrong?
Exactly, exactly. And really quick to
Go ahead.
answer Jimmy Dean here, would you take "Where are you from" as a compliment now? I do actually. I was gonna, I shook my head when I first saw it, but I do actually take it as a compliment now
Yeah.
because a lot of times it's followed up by like, "Wow, that's really interesting. You're really, you've got an." It's always complimentary, even if it's insensitive. Where it comes from doesn't have to be the greatest place, but or it is coming from a good place, even if it's not the right wording. Even if it's, I feel like it's the conversations like this that we need to have for that
Mm.
person who wants to give that compliment to be able to either figure out a better way to do it or realize, that's just not really appropriate. That's just not my place to say. I can look at how beautiful he is from afar, and again, bringing it back to my dad. He was specifically. Well, let me put it this way: how familiar are you with the this whole critical race theory praxis in terms of what they're teaching in primary school? I'm aware of the fact that critical race theory itself is a college level philosophy, law stuff, but I don't know if you heard earlier the example that I've given and I've seen before is that the old math problems would be like you got a train leaving the west at 1 o'clock going this fast and the east going that for that fast, and what time do they meet? And then it changed. I've seen questions like, well, Raekwon was pulled over by the police five times this week, and Kyle was only pulled over once. And then the questions about oppression and this. So, A, how familiar are you with what the messaging of this stuff is? And B, what is your thoughts on it being taught to someone like your daughter, who you have put so much time into, uh, 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 building up these, in my opinion, better messages in her mind?
Yeah. I'm a little familiar with CRT. Um, I understand why people are doing it. It doesn't bother me. Again, but I think it's very important of who the message is coming from and what they're saying in that message. When I look back on history and I see it comes off as if do you remember when Kanye West said that slavery was a choice?
Yep.
When I hear
I don't know
about
what
this
he
type of
meant by it.
well, what he meant by it was um, the people who were enslaved, it was their choice to be enslaved, as if they couldn't fight back. And one thing I had noticed about that conversation was when if somebody has more gun power than you, right?
Hmm.
Let's say you're out and about, somebody has a firearm, and you're with your family, and they want to take something that you have, and they point the gun at your child and say, "If you don't give me this, I'm gonna take your child away from you. I'm gonna do this." Well, in slavery times, that's what they were faced against. Those are the type of things that when you're going to tell the story, you have to tell it correctly. It wasn't a choice. People were forced to do something because they didn't want to see their loved ones hurt. So your reaction in that present time has everything to do with, hey, I don't want to see this person get hurt. So if you're going to do the critical race theory and you're going to teach these, these young minds who are fresh into the world or whatever the case may be, you have to be very careful on how you deliver the message. You have to, because I don't want people to make it come off as if like, oh, they had no choice. It's like yeah, you kind of didn't have a choice when someone's forcing you to do something
Right.
that you don't want to do, and you can't speak the language, and they're hitting you, and you're confused. So it's so much that goes into the situation. So if they're going to do the CRT, you know, I don't know if
Oh,
it's.
Jesus, struggle streaming.
I hear you. Is it freezing up on my end? It might be freezing up on my end.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, and I completely agree with you. Where it comes from is vitally important because
Mm,
of the end message. And while I do believe that this is all done with the best of intentions, I think the when I mean I think it was Michigan State where they had segregated lunchrooms because they wanted to have safe spaces for Black people, and it's
mm,
like I okay, I can see the logic behind where that's coming from, but that's literally segregation. We
right.
literally said separate but equal cannot be like that's fundamental stuff, and then when you're talking about, especially in primary school, it's one thing to talk to people of color about how there are certain aspects that are going to affect them in society differently.
Hmm.
But when you think about the idea of telling white people that they are inherently better, that the other races are oppressed and you're the oppressor, not only is it's going in my opinion it goes one of two ways. Either you have a generation of white kids who hate themselves because they think they were the slave owners and they were cracking the whip and they're responsible for that, or you have the other side of the kid who's like, I didn't do that shit. I'm not taking the hit for this. And why are all these Black people coming at me? And that sows the divide. And
Yeah.
that's where I don't understand why race relations have been since like the Jim Crow era up until 2015, things were improving as far as I saw.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but things
Yeah.
were improving. And
Well, let
now
me.
it seems like things are going backwards. And the only thing I can see that is an underlying a theme in that is this new victimhood ideology.
Yeah. Well, one thing I would like for them to teach is the fact that if you did enslave people, the person who was the slave owner, it was their choice to enslave people. You don't have to force people to do something that they don't want to do. You made it a personal decision that I'm going to do this because I feel like you're less than. I'm going to take this from you because I want to get rich. I want to do whatever I have to do. That's something that I find very interesting that no one thinks from that perspective. On it's your choice and your decision to say something rude to somebody. You have so many seconds before you say something inappropriate that you do not have to say. You have so many seconds before you actually do something that's going to harm somebody that if you have the intent to harm, that was your choice to do so. So when I think back on, past times and, speaking about CRT, I believe that their goal is to tell stories instead of showing the evidence of what happened. These were people's decisions to cause harm amongst other people, to do atrocities, despicable things, you know. And now in today's time, where it seems like it's going back and it's trying to revert back to that, it's like, where are the people when and where are the people that are going to stand up and say, hey, listen, we're not going to do this. Everyone's just trying to make it. No, no one's trying to harm each other, and we don't have to keep on calling these people or blackies and all this type of stuff. Like, why don't you call that person by their name, acknowledge them by their existence, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, again, I couldn't agree more. I think that it's we tend to come from the same place on that. Obviously, having our different experiences. Um, I want to jump. I don't want. Let me know if you've got a hard out or anything. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I do have a couple more questions if you've got the time. I just want to
Yes.
address Jimmy Dean here, and said Biden in his address today said that he would be proud to nominate the first black woman to the Supreme Court. He didn't mention any names in particular. Thoughts? Real quick, I do think there is a short list that's out there. But I don't really feel like the name. I don't feel like the name part of it is really the point of contention. What do you think about saying, okay, we need a black woman on the Supreme Court, and then going to the meritocracy of it?
Mm. Oh man, you know, I have mixed thoughts on this because it's good that it'll be a black woman, but at the same time, it's almost like why does it have to be this black man, black woman deal? And
Yes.
that's what's bothering me because when you're listening to these different echo chambers and you start hearing what other men are thinking and you go, "Oh, I didn't think about it that way." Right? So, I don't know who the black woman would be, but I just dislike I dislike that it's a color. I
Right.
you know and that's all I can say about it. I dislike that it has to be a color and then acknowledge the gender. It's like why can't you guys just pick the best candidate? Why does it have to be somebody that's we're gonna pick this black person because we need to balance out the numbers? It's like, dude, who can get the job done?
Right. And I understand. It's not even like they're just like, okay, well, we got to find a black woman, so we're just going to go off into the streets. Like, no, obviously they are picking from people who are already judges, are already in that position. And I
Yeah.
understand that. But let me ask you directly.
Yes.
Would you prefer that we get, that Biden does his thing and there's a black woman on the Supreme Court, and that's however that plays out after that is good, or that it's a little bit longer before there is a black woman on the court, but she gets there just by her own merit without any institutional push, all that kind of stuff? What, as a black person, and in the context of representation, which would you feel more proud of?
I mean, I'll be proud if a black woman makes it. That'd be good. But here's the thing. Here's where the downfall comes into place. What tends to happen is when we as black people see a person of our own in a higher position, and that person in a higher position doesn't do like some type of kickback to show us that, hey, she's going to like represent and really look out for all black people, then that's where the problem comes into play. So I don't necessarily have an opinion about it. I look at a person as, if you're qualified for it and they picked you and that was something that you had applied for, then kudos to you, make it happen. But to just throw race into it, which is what happens and it's going to keep on happening, to throw race into it, it becomes one of these things to where you're just, oh, okay, yeah, we like what he said. It just becomes one of those things where we're constantly going to be chasing after the bone, if you will.
Right.
You
And
know.
yeah, I mean, and then even as Jimmy Dean says here, that if it was all 9 straight white men, that's most of the country. If we're only picking 9 people, now I'm
Hmm.
not saying we should have a Supreme Court that's only straight white men, but I personally don't see anything off about that. It doesn't seem like that, that would, if it was done properly, if it wasn't done in an effort to keep women and people of color out, and they just happen to be 9 straight white men on the court, and then a woman comes in, or an Indian person comes, or whatever.
Yeah.
But again, that's coming where, how do you respond to that?
Okay, so my response to Jimmy Dean, because I see his second question as well. My response to the first question is,
Let's
you
go
know,
here.
a lot of times throughout history, what black people see, because this is a black and white conversation, sort of. What black people see is, man, we didn't create any of the government, so it's like we kind of have to deal with it, right? But we do want change. So no, we don't feel comfortable if there were 30, white straight men on the Supreme Court. It's like nothing would be in our favor, because are they really seeking justice for people of different ethnicities? Right. So that's my first answer. This second question, where it says, what kind of kickback did the black community get from Obama's administration? That was kind of my whole point to Lutch's question about the black women to the Supreme Court. We didn't really, I don't know of any kickback or anything that I could necessarily be proud of, other than the fact that there was a president that looked like me. When he got into office, I was like, oh man, I can't have any more excuses. That was the first thing that I saw. I was like, oh, I can't have any more excuses. If he became president, then I can't say that somebody's holding me back. I can't say that somebody's holding me down. I got to say, all right, it's time for me to either go for a higher education, or simply what I always say to myself, I don't have time for excuses. So I don't know if there was any kickback to the black community. My answer would be no, because I hear a lot of people complaining about it. The only
Mhm.
thing that we saw from the black community was a black man and woman with black children in the White House that no one thought they would ever see, especially in my lifetime.
How much do you think him being black was like? How much do you think that played a part in him getting elected?
I don't, from my understanding, he was the person for the job at that particular time. Now, I don't know what happens behind closed doors. If you listen to some of the echo chambers, people will say that they were trying to, get a black person there so they could make him out of a puppet and do whatever they say do. And then you see him in office for 8 years in a row. It's like, I don't know what the truth is. I haven't been that type of person that went into this in-depth research about, man, what
Right.
made, Barack Obama, be who he is.
Jimmy Dean says, I was surprised at Lutch's 30% meritocracy answer. So in the on that stream, they asked me, out of 100, what percent of do I think America is a meritocracy? 100% being pure meritocracy, and I said about 30%. But
Mm,
I believe it's that low because of class issues and things
okay.
that you were talking about with Walmart, with having connections. There is certainly a race component to it, but I think in so many of these things that it is a class issue first, and then because of the things that we all agree that have negatively affected the black community, because of the class issues, black people get affected more. But it's not race. That's not the same thing as racism.
hmm I
That
agree.
yeah, and so I mean, what would you put it at from 0 to 100? If obviously we know it's not 100, but
Right.
it's certainly not 0 either.
Right. I would say around like 45, close to,
Yeah.
yeah, about 45%.
And so that is right in line with the idea that when bringing all the way back to the job application and the names on the job application thing, again, being so offended by the fact that, like, hey, yeah, you applied somewhere where there's a racist asshole looking at your application and he threw it in the garbage because of your name.
hmm
Okay, that doesn't make it okay that he did that, but what are you going to do about it? You're going to
Right.
cry about it? You're going to burn down their building, or are you going to just apply to another job? Are you going to do whatever you need to do? And the fact is that those people who are going to hold you back are allowed to exist and allowed to be the way they are. But the counter to that is that you have the opportunity to overcome that.
Mm,
And I resent the just to tie a bow on that one point. I do resent, even if it is coming from a black person, I do resent the notion that black people are inherently less capable, and that was a sentiment. And again, I don't want to speak for Dr. Evil Genius. This was my interpretation. So
okay.
if he sees this and he would like to correct me, I'd be more than willing to further the discussion. But it did seem like the opinion was well, again, as I've said before, like, well, I made it out and Darshaun made it out, but like, we're the good ones. Most black people aren't shit. And it's like, well, we aren't. Wait, isn't that like the opposite of what you should be pushing for? Like, no, anybody can do. Yes, there's odds stacked against you, but you can overcome that.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't make it easy. It doesn't make it right that you have to. But
Right.
that's life. That's life. I don't know. I think it's that simple, man. I think it's
So,
like,
so let me ask you, with Dr. Evil Genius, is that his foundation? Is that some of us make it out, and we're better than the ones that made it out?
absolutely. I asked him. I was like, so there's people like yourself, and there's people like Darshaun. Like, do you think that just like the black community is doomed? He was like, yes. And I was like, oh, well, and we, got a little bit into why that is. And this came down to the idea of the collectivist mentality versus the individualist. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you and I are more along on the same page with the individualist, where it's like, if you are a black man and you have a family and you stay in that family and you take care of that family, that's all that you can control about the black community.
Mm-hmm.
And to worry about the black community overall before you're worrying about your own home is futile. And they were like, no, the numbers show it. The numbers show it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had nothing to say because I'm not black, and I don't know.
Well, here's what I want to say to that, to Dr. Evil's sentiments about us being better than our our own people when we make it out. I'm not better, right? I'm not better than anyone. I want to make that very clear.
I disagree. I
Well,
think you're better than a lot of people.
well, what I mean by better, it seems like it puts me on a pedestal of, like, I can't be touched, or I can't fail, or I can't lose all my money, or I can't, like, something. I'll put it to you like this, because I really want to say this. My I hate to say this, but from the book of Job, my entire family could be snatched away from me, and then what, right? I made millions of dollars, and then my family gets snatched away from me. Am I better than anybody else now? Because my
Yes,
existence now
yes.
is, but my family's not here. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Like you,
I would be by myself, and I would not be so motivated to continue to try to be better again. That's what happens with a lot of people when they lose their family.
mhm.
I know plenty of rich, white men, if you will, who they lose their son and daughter to drugs, and they're millionaires, multimillionaires. They don't feel better anymore.
Well, I don't know. My dad's a multimillionaire, but yeah,
You
and
know,
I completely take your point. But
but
this is sorry, do you want to continue?
yeah, I just wanted to say, like, to his point, I understand where he's coming from, but I would say it made our opportunities better, but not the actual person themselves. I'm not better than someone because I had made it out. I went to go for a better opportunity. I literally went from an area in Florida, and on the news where there were gunshots and people getting killed every day, to say, okay, it's my choice to take my family and relocate to a safer place where there's a better opportunity for someone who looks like me, because what I'm trying to do is not there.
How is
A
that
lot.
different than being better?
But it's, again, it's the opportunity, not. I don't think I'm better than you.
Cutting out. You're
Are you
frozen
there?
a little.
It could be my internet, man.
I mean, oh, we back. Okay,
Yeah.
back. Yeah. Why is the decision to make concrete steps in your life that will better your position? Why is that not? Why does that not make you a better person than someone who makes worse decisions, regardless of
I'm
race?
not. Let me see if I can answer it like this. I don't think. Okay. I don't think that Jeff Bezos is better than me. I don't think that Elon Musk is better than me. That's where I'm coming from. I believe he had a better opportunity, but his opportunities came before me because he was in existence before me. So
Mm.
I see a certain timeline with people. If although we have the same 24 hours, if someone was working towards something for 15 years prior before I was born, it's probably his or her lottery ticket for it to pop off. So he has a better opportunity. But as a being a better person, I don't view people that way. I don't view a person as, hey, I'm more righteous than you are. You know, I have a better education because I can take out somebody's heart. I'm not thinking along those lines. Where you're coming from, you would say, well, somebody is better than you if they can take out a heart and you don't know how to do it. Okay, yes, that's correct. But I'm not viewing
Not
people that way.
and I take your point, but it's not even that. Like, if take it to the extreme. Do you
Okay.
not think you're a better person than Hitler was?
That's a very extreme.
I mean, just
Yes, because I'm not trying to take people
exactly.
out.
So that is the extreme version, but it doesn't have to be a moral condemnation or anything that. And this is I'm taking this directly from Michael Malice. He's just a right wing anarchist libertarian type of guy, and the old delineation of left versus right and Republican and conservative has become so muddy that his way of kind of categorizing people for not the purpose of putting them in a box, but to understand where they're coming from, is to ask that question. And it seems like the quote unquote conservatives will be able to very easily think of it in the context of me versus Hitler. And it's like, well, yes, obviously some people are better than other people. And that's the question. Are some people better than other people? Yes or no? And it's the quote unquote conservatives who will be able to say yes, and it's the quote unquote liberals or the left who will qualify. It's like, well, what do you mean by better and this and that, which is fair. I mean,
Mm,
it's a thought experiment. There's no right or wrong answer, and that is there. It just demonstrates two different ways of looking at the world, and neither of them are wrong, but they're not the same. And so that it's just about how do we live together, thinking these
mhm.
different things, but at the end of the day really wanting the same thing. Everybody just wants their family to be okay and have somewhere to sleep at night and all that good stuff.
Right, and do whatever they want to do. That better conversation is, maybe it's a little above my head because when I think of better, I do think of education. I know that some people had a better education than me,
Mhm.
but at the same time, as far as I guess I'm being too having too much more morale, is that I see when I man I become a more polite person in my life because
Mhm.
I realized that me thinking so negative towards other people wasn't getting me anywhere. Yes, maybe in my own personal household, when I turn this camera off, I'll probably be in here saying I'm the best motherfucker on the planet.
Damn right.
But when I'm out amongst people, I'm not going to make you feel that way. But when I come home, and
Right, and that's
I
what
look at my
makes it.
stats, I go, yeah, I'm that dude,
Exactly. And
you
that's the
know.
way that people like me see it, is that somebody who's going to say, "Okay, well, I don't I want to be humble and not think of it that way." Those are the kinds of things that not everybody does. And so the
Mm,
people who have that mindset, and the people who try to think of things like that, I think there is, the word better is used specifically because it's a loaded word.
right.
But, when you break it down, it's like, yes, we do make those distinctions. And the more we dig into that concept of what is morality, what is it to be a good person, all that, those big questions. When we don't get distracted by the minutia, then that's how we can really advance the conversation, which I think within the last few days, between the four of us, specifically you and I, have really done. I mean, I pat myself on the back and pat you on the back. I think we've done a great job with having this conversation, being
Mhm,
respectful, moving it forward, and saying what we need to say with the understanding of where we're coming from. So there's no need to tiptoe around buzzwords or anything like that. And that's really what I think will get us past this age of being hyper focused on whether it's race or gender or this or that or what is your victim status. I think if we can get past that and understanding that we all have some level of victimization and trauma and whatever you want to call it, but harping on that is not helpful. And
Right.
so let's just not.
Harp on it, right?
Yeah.
But here's what I want to say to people, and I didn't even realize this, and I should be ashamed of myself. I didn't realize that it was February and it's like Black History Month. I really didn't realize it until the other day. What I would ask people is this: what is it that you want to know and learn about Black people? And approach it that way, moving forward. I don't want people to feel guilty about the past because guilty is such a loaded word. You're not going to court being tried for something. But to more so have an understanding of what all people go through. But don't look at Black people as, something to be looked upon as less than, because we're not getting up every morning thinking that. I'm not getting up in the morning saying like, "Yo, I'm less than today," and I know somebody going to say X, Y, and Z. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted. Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do to the children, is
Right.
specifically to try to make them think that. And maybe there's a level of hyperbole in what I'm saying, but this again, going back to the leftist obsession with race, it seems to be some, from there's a level of I feel like the perpetrators who are specifically trying to sow this division, and then
Hmm.
there's the quote unquote normies who are just like, oh, okay, I'm white and I'm supposed to do this, and I'm Black, so I'm supposed to feel this way. And it's all, that's what they're trying to do, is to try to make it on the forefront of what race are you, what does that qualify you to do or not do. I'm white, so I can't do this. I'm Black, so I can do this. I can say
Hmm.
this. All of that stuff, and it's just so counterintuitive, in my opinion, to the advancement of the American people, which is the advancement of the human race.
Right.
And I don't know. I think it's it's definitely an ongoing conversation, and I really appreciate you coming up here, and especially since I was struggle streaming, that video wouldn't work. I really thought that was going to be my thing, so you really saved me here. And yeah, I think really I would like you to sit on that question, and of, do you and very simply in those exact words, do you think some people are better than other people? Question mark, full stop. And the tendency to be like, well, some people this and that and that, like, yes, taking all that into account, do you think some people are better than other people? And
Mm.
not necessarily looking for an answer, but that's what I would like to leave you with, so that the next time we have a conversation, that's where you're coming from.
Okay.
And yeah, if there's again, thank you so much for coming up here. If anything, I'm gonna give you the floor here. And I know you're good with your promo, so you
Oh yeah.
are on.
Hey guys, my name is Darshaun McAway. Thank you so much for tuning in to this live stream. We really appreciate you guys. If you want to know more about me, go to darshaunmcaway.com and check out all of my endeavors. And also check out my podcast on wowpodcast.me, where we talk to authors, writers, and illustrators about their books and what they're doing to market it. Lutch, thank you so much for having me on your stream. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Not a problem. Anytime. I appreciate you. And again, whether it's you or anybody else that I'm having a conversation with, or that anybody's having a conversation with, where they're hearing ideas that maybe are like that your first your first instinct is to be like, are you sure you want to say that? Are you sure you want to think that? Or are you sure you think that? To just take a second and maybe figure out if that person really means what they're saying, and maybe you can educate them. Maybe you can, come to a better understanding of where they're coming from and all that kind of stuff. I want to thank you, Jimmy Dean and Blind Bat, for tuning in. I'm sorry I couldn't get the video for you. I'm going to try to get that and post it for you, but it is on Darshaun's Instagram page. So if you just go to at Darshaun McAway on Instagram, you could see the entire conversation that we had. Yeah, thank you again. I really think this was as useful as the last 4 conversations that we have. Every time we sit down, I feel like I'm walking away with more knowledge, more wisdom, and can't thank you enough for that.
No problem, man. Thank you so much for the impromptu-ness on your platform.
Yeah, I had you. Now I had you, or you had me. Now I gotta have you, and that's how we do it. All right, man. You have a great night. Thank you again. And to anybody out there, if you've got questions, I've got my Instagram and Twitter here. IDRYB Lutch. Darshaun is also available on social media. Just search his name. Please check out his work on. He wrote a book almost 10 years ago now that you wrote Girlfriend versus Wife Duties. And he has a running children's series that is based on his daughter. And I think it is amazing work. If you're a parent, if you're a teacher, if you're anything, please go check out babyauthors.com and Anaya's Adventures. I think it is, something that more people need to be doing. And apparently, which I didn't realize, more Black people need to be doing as well. And so we thank Darshaun for that. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, all that stuff. I don't have the support links in the description yet, but I will. But again, even if you can't do that, it is free to subscribe, hit that bell, and sit at home and think about how awesome me and Darshaun are. We will see you next time.